Good evening. Welcome to Epiphany Lutheran Church in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Kevin Barger, the Director of Music Ministry. This is our Music Minute, where we're taking a look at the hymns we'll be using in worship tomorrow. And we're going to start with the processional gathering hymn, Son of God, Eternal Savior. This hymn was written in 1893, and it was about a community in the sense of living for others. And its text was written by a man named Lowry, who was born in Ireland and studied at Cambridge. And he was ordained as an Anglican deacon. He wrote about 60 hymns and a number of books over the time that he was there. And the tune is a Dutch folk melody, and it has been adapted many times into its current form. So you'll recognize the tune, I bet. And it is Son of God, Eternal Savior. Did you recognize the melody? It's broken up into phrases, but it was all there. All right, next we'll go to our setting hymn, Jesus Calls Us, or The Tumult. And this is another hymn from the 1800s, 1852 to be exact. And Cecile Frances Alexander wrote it, and it was 2 years after she married an Irish priest. And it was written actually for the commemoration of St. Andrew. It was heavily based in biblical texts from Romans and the Gospel of Matthew. And the tune, while it was written for this text, was actually not done so until many years later, about 22 years later in 1874. So this is Jesus Calls Us, or The Tumult. Another reflective one, very reflective hymns this week. Even the two on piano are going to be similar to that as well. So we'll move now to the hymn of the day, The Son of God, Our Christ. This hymn is somewhat unique. We've done it before, but not a whole lot. This hymn was actually written by someone who was under the age of 30. And the United Christian Youth Movement of the National Council of Churches of Christ in the United States of America made the request, looking for hymns that were written by someone under 30. And it was first used during National Youth Week, January 27th through February 3rd, 1957. It's a simple melody, and it was originally named, that melody, Susum Corda, was named for the Latin of the text it was originally paired with. Now, that tune is paired with many more texts of great variety, just like many other texts and tunes that we've had over our time together. So this will be The Son of God, Our Christ, and we're going to go over to the piano. So pretty easy to sing. Hopefully you'll be able to pick that up pretty well. It's been about 2 years since we've done it, and that may have been the first time we did it, was 2 years ago. Last but not least, and I left my notes over on the organ. Oh, they're here on the floor. See, they just magically appeared. So this is Here is Bread, the communion hymn, and this is an affirmation of faith and what they call the simple stuff. And what it's doing is juxtaposing the simple stuff, quote unquote, of communion with the heavily intense meaning and message of communion. It was written by the son of a Baptist minister who studied to be a teacher and decided that wasn't really the calling for him. So he changed his vocation and instead became a contemporary songwriter and rock star singer. So that's what he ended up writing things, and he wrote this. The accompaniment drives this tune. Without the accompaniment, you might get a little bit lost and it kind of gets hung up. But it's pretty easy, one we know well. Here is Bread. Such a wonderful piece. Perhaps making his change in vocation was a good one. So we hope you've learned maybe something you didn't know before, and we'll look forward to singing these in worship tomorrow. And if you're going to join us in person, that will be at 8:30 in the sanctuary or 11 o'clock in the sanctuary, and the 11 o'clock service will be live streamed on our YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining. Have a great evening.